Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me as he does every year for Black Fridays, Arthur Zaczkiewicz, executive editor at WWD. Arthur, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
A pleasure. Great to be here, Jill. Thank you.
And 2020 will certainly be different than the socialized experience we saw in 2019. I'm trying to picture in my mind how many people were going to trample each other to get the flat screen TV deals or Xbox when the stores opened very, very early this morning. Do you think consumers are likely to prioritize safety over experience in 2021?
In 2021, I think that it'll ease over time, but I think right now safety is still very, very important. You know, they're concerned. You know, they want to go in and out of the store. I think we talked about this last time, earlier this year. You know, they're concerned, right? They're concerned for their family and health of their children and the health of themselves, especially as cases are picking up. But moving forward, you know, I definitely see, you know, the in-store experience is still an important part of the equation. I think, like, if you look at, like, for example, Scottsdale Fashion Square, you know, they're offering, it's a luxury retail. Luxury is way down right now, but they're doing an exceptional job of, you know, meeting the customer wherever they want to be met. So that could be, you know, briefly in the store. It could be curbside pickup for a luxury retail. I mean, that's remarkable. Trend, and you'll see that continue. You know, it's really just about the consumer and meeting their needs and demands.
Yeah, that's a good point. And did you also notice that more retailers were closed for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year?
Well, you know, online sales, I mean, that's a good thing. They should be home with their families, right? This is you know, a very traumatic time, and it's, you know, it's kind of being dragged out. So, you know, you should stay home, be with your family and loved ones. But I think Adobe, they had online sales data for Thanksgiving, and it was up 21% year over year. So, I mean, that's the way to shop, right? Stay home, be safe, and shop online.
Well, Arthur, as online shopping continues to increase, how is this going to work with shipping? Are consumers looking for a variety of options? I would imagine this year, if you don't have your orders in by at least the first or second week in December, there's a good chance you might see delays because the demand is overwhelming.
So Salesforce, I think they came out this morning with online sales globally is going to be up 18% today, just today. In the US, 15%. You know, so I mean, that's a remarkable amount of stuff that you have to, you know, push through the pipeline. You know, a lot of trade people are calling it ship again because, you know, Amazon can't build fulfillment centers fast enough, so it's going to be a problem. You know, if this continues, and you know, all that last mile, you know, we talk about that often, is under strain and under duress, right? So, is that going to be disappointing for consumers? Yeah, but I think you know, they've been shopping for holidays since, you know, August, right? So
what else do you have to do, right?
Yeah, right. So you're chilling out, you're in your pajamas, you know, you're looking for deals, and you know, retailers were responding, right? So Target and Walmart had, you know, they had, you know, these mega deals, these Black Friday like deals back in September. You know, you have Prime Day, you know, so the consumer's really in charge, and you know, is going along. Not to say that, like you mentioned at the opening, you know, Xbox and the new PlayStation, you know, Reliance, you know, the gamers are very dedicated. They're waiting outside, you know, GameStop and all this. You know, but still, it's not. You know, I think online, you know, you're going to be safe. You're going to look for deals. The whole idea of the consumer slowing down, right, and taking time online is a whole different kind of experience. That's a change in mindset. So they're being very careful about, you know, how and where they shop. But you know, there's some casualties in that, like fashion apparel, for example, is down significantly. So you're seeing, you know, categories like home goods. You know, people are nesting or re-nesting. Consumer electronics doing really well. But it's a difficult market right now for a lot of brands.
Do you think consumers that start earlier tend to spend more?
That's a great, that's a great hypothesis. I think you're onto something. I think you're totally right. They're planning their purchases more, right? So it's going to be, they're going to start earlier, and it's like customer lifetime value. Let's call it, you know, shopper spending value over that period. It's going to be, I think, a lot more because it's intentional, right? There's a lot less, you know, conversions that happen on the moment. So it's like planned spending. You know, a lot of people are still out of work, right? It's, you know, it's difficult for a lot of families, but for the people who have money, who are working from home, we're lucky enough to do that. I think this is a good thing, and I think you're right. They're spending more over time than they had previously.
From a demographic perspective, how are the generations approaching Black Friday?
I think I think everybody's, everybody from grandma, on down is, warming up to online shopping. They're using mobile devices. I think it's multi-generational. And I think the key is how brands respond to each demographic, right? So you could be, a very hip brand, very millennial or Gen Z brand, and you're gonna know that social media is the way to engage that consumer. Where maybe it's an email for an older baby boomer, to entice them and to trigger a conversion. So I think it depends. I think everybody's shopping online, but it's how you engage them is what's different, and by generation and demographic.
And Arthur, it's so interesting when we were having this conversation in November and again in December, back at Market Site in the studio. At that time, I remember asking you, do you think that the experience, the omni-channel presence, people perhaps coming back into brick and mortar to get that experience in store, that was a big part of the conversation. We thought that we were starting to see that. So as a result of COVID-19, do you think consumer habits are going to revert to pre-pandemic trends, or is e-commerce only going to accelerate?
I think I want to say that maybe 10% of consumers are new to a traditional retailer's website and e-commerce. So that's interesting, because that means that they're new to online shopping with a particular retailer like Macy's or Nordstrom's or wherever. So why change, right? So I think there's going to be a permanent shift, and it's going to be a mix. The physical store, the in-store experience is critical to a brand, right? So there's still store closures. We're having a lot of those will continue. But retail, it's not dead. Physical retail is by far not dead. It's going to be repurposed and reimagined as a place to enjoy the brand, right? So if it's Macy's, you're going to enjoy what Macy's is curating for you. Or if it's Nordstrom's, you're going to go in and you want to be surprised about what the Nordstrom merchandisers are showcasing that year. If it's a brand like Ralph Lauren or whatever, Tiffany, for example, that's a good one. You go in, and you're dedicated to that brand. You enjoy that retailer, and you're going to, you need that physical space to be, to be challenged and excited and surprised. So physical retail is not dead, but it's evolving rapidly.
All right, Arthur, great to see you as always. Thanks for joining us
Pleasure.
on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.